Hello everyone, myself Selvi from Tata Elxsi, working as a senior software engineer in the network transformation group. So firstly, I would like to thank OSM team for giving this opportunity to give a presentation on the topic enhanced user security in TE-OSM orchestrator. And before moving to the presentation, I would like to wish all passionate women here a wonderful, happy International Women's Day. I hope my screen is visible.
Thank you. I forgot about that, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Now let me open my presentation slides. Okay. So hi everyone. Today I would like to present enhanced user security in TE-OSM. So this is the agenda for this topic. So first would be like, what are all the things are available in the user management in a general perspective, and what are all the things we have implemented in the security implementation perspective, and some of the advantages. Following that, we will have a short demo on this security implementation. So here comes the user management overview. So basically, this user management is an important security requirement for any orchestrator application, and it allows administrators to control and manage access to the application and also its resources while ensuring security and compliance with industry best practices. Generally, administrators need powerful user management capabilities to maintain user status and also define policies. Okay, next comes, I'll share some of the key considerations when we are implementing a user management module. So we all know, like, the first and foremost thing is authentication. So the first step in user management is to ensure that only authenticated users can access the application. And next comes the authorization. So once the users are authenticated, the next step is to ensure that they have access to the appropriate resources within that application. So generally, what are all the things will come under authorization? Roles, permissions, and privileges. So generally, it's a process of defining what users can and cannot do with the application based on the RBAC strategy. So next comes the user roles and permission. So user roles are used to define a set of permissions that a user has within the application. And this can range from basic read-only access to full administrative privileges. So basically, this user permissions are specific with actions. For example, a user with administrative privileges may have permissions to create, modify, and delete users, while a regular user may only have the permission to view resources. So these things all will come under RBAC. So next comes the user creation and management. So the ability to create and manage users is an essential aspect of user management, and administrators should be able to create new users, modifying existing users, and delete users if it's necessary, because administrators have the full administrative privileges to do everything. And additionally, user accounts should be managed in a way that it ensures security and prevent unauthorized access. So next comes the security implementation part. So on top of this authentication, authorization, and RBAC, we have added something called user activity. So basically, this user activity is important for tracking user behavior and detecting potential security breaches. So application administrators should be able to review user status and also to identify, is there any suspicious activity, and if it's there, what are all the appropriate actions to be taken. So in the TE-OSM orchestrator, so this is how the user page is designed, where we have four user status as always active. So this status will come under if the orchestrator is deployed for the first time. So this is a default user with admin credentials. And the next comes the locked scenario. So where if the user, so by default we have the privilege to have four incorrect attempts. If it exceeded above 5, then that particular user will go into the locked state. So next comes the expired state. by default we have 90 days. So if it crosses that 90 days, so every 90 days the user needs to come and get renewal for that user account. So these are all the 4 status. So next comes the active state. So where that user have the privilege to do whatever like RBAC has been assigned for that user. And then next comes the strong password policies. So next comes the password policies. So we all know like in the real in the current world we are we'll use many applications, right? So in that application, whenever we use any forget password or create password, we need to make sure like it should have a like a big length of around 8 characters and with some complexity. And here we had something called expiration. So additionally, here users should be prompted to reset their passwords periodically to ensure continued security. So in this case, by default, we have 30 days. So if it crosses the 30 days, it will enforce the user to change their password by default. And also you should not be able to reuse the last 3 passwords. So why we are having all these things is for make sure like we are preventing some unauthorized access. So next comes the password notification. So generally this password notification is a process of notifying users to change their passwords after a specific period. So in this case, since we have made it as 30 days, so after 26th day, like before 5 days, the user will be notified like 3 or 4 days is there to change your password, so that the user will change their password in their page itself. If not, if it crosses that day, which means if it comes the 31st day, then it will enforce the user to change their password. I'll show all these things in the demo phase. So this is how the notification will appear in the user page. So where we will have what was the last access time, and before login, how many failed attempts has been performed, and how many days or more for the password expires. So in this case, if the account is going to expire, in that case it will also show like the account will be expired within 2 or 3 days like that, and one more row will be added where it will show like account will expire in 2 or 3 days like that. So this is how the login history will appear in the user page, so whenever the user generally logins. So next comes the account renewal, and it is an important aspect which ensures that only authorized users have access to an application's resources, and it is a process of extending the validity of a user account. And next comes the user support. So generally why we actually need user support means, if suppose the user has been locked, we need some administrator to unlock the user, or if suppose if the user has been expired or something, we need some administrators to renew those users. So in this case, user support is necessary. So we have rolled out this feature in our organization, and our administrators have shared their advantages after implementing those features. So I would like to share like what are all the advantages after rolling out this feature. So first comes the improved security. So enforcing user login and password notification helps to improve the security of an application by reducing the risk of unauthorized access. So it also ensures that users must authenticate themselves each time when they access the application, and that they are prompted to update their passwords regularly, which will actually reduce the risk of compromised accounts. So next advantage would be like account management. So which comes the account expiration policy, which actually allows administrators to manage users accounts efficiently. Actually this particular advantage, how they have came up was like, it actually allows the administrators to remove accounts of users who are no longer active or who have left the organization. For example, if a user joined as an intern and have access for this application, right? So once he or she went after some 100 days, this particular account will turn into expired state. So in that case, account administrators will have knowledge like this particular user has been expired. They'll go deep dive like what happened to the user. So if they feel like they are the intern, then they can easily remove the user from the application. So this actually ensures that only active users have access to the application resources. So next comes the centralized management. So enforcing these policies in user management provides a centralized approach to managing user accounts, which actually makes easier for administrators to manage large number of users. If it is 10 or 20 users, any administrator can go in person and ask everything. But what will happen if we have 100 or 200 of users for your application? So in this case, centralized management plays a major role. And next comes the reduced risk of data breaches. So implementing all these strict password policies actually reduces the risk of data breaches by making it harder for even attackers to gain access to the application's resources. And as I mentioned earlier, the reuse of last three passwords are not allowed here. So what will happen without this protection? So without this protection, it is vulnerable to being accessed by attackers who can steal our account credentials. So next comes the password notification. So it actually reminds users to update their passwords regularly, and also make it even attackers to crack our old passwords. So by implementing all these policies, actually organizations can ensure that their application resources are accessible only to authorized users, and that their users' account are managed securely and efficiently. So these are all the advantages we have gained through the security implementation in our orchestrator. So this particular feature has already been presented in our tech call, and this is the etherpad link for this feature. And since it's under development, and now we have rolled out for testing, so once everything is done, so we are planning to contribute to for release 14. Any questions, anyone? So if there are no further questions, I can move for a demo phase, where I'll be performing the enforcing password change, and what will happen if I exit the failed login attempts, and how to perform unlock action, how easy to renew the user account, and the displaying of login history in our NGUI. So if there are no other questions, can I move to demo?
Sure.
I think you can go ahead with the demo then. Thank you very much for that so far.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. So let me go on to the demo phase. So let me log in with the admin credentials. So it's admin. So let me try to log in to the orchestrator. So this is how the user page will be. So for time constraint, I have already created some sample users where they have active state, locked state, and expired state. So this is how the user page will appear. So let me create a new user called a demo user for this case. So let me put my password as test at 123. So let me put the same in my confirm password, and let me assign some project role. So intentionally, I'm not assigning any system admin privilege for this, just to make sure, like, since he doesn't have the privilege to view the system admin, right? So in this case, we'll see how the user page for this particular user will appear once we log in inside. So intentionally, let me give account manager. So I have applied this change for this user. So consider like at the admin, I have created a new user called demo user. So now let me share all my credentials to this demo user. So when this demo user is trying to log in for the first time, so my password here is test at 123. So when this demo user trying to log in, so by default, it will ask him to change the current password. So my current password here is test at 123. So let me apply my new password. So which I have made it as change at 123. So let me put my password here, change at 123. So let me confirm this. So it will move to my login page again. So let me log in with the updated password here, which is change at 123. So when I try to log in, so I can see here the login history has been popped up, which shows like my last access was March 8, 1914. And so far I don't have any failed login attempts, because with the first attempt itself I went into my orchestrator login page. So here let me click the users page. So here if you see, we don't have something like user status, because the person who has the system admin privilege only will have the access to view the user status, and also has the ability to perform unlock or renewal. So all these things can only be performed by the user who has the system admin privilege. So in this case, since this particular user has the account manager role, so he doesn't he cannot see the user status here. So let me log out. So let me try with the lock the scenario. So consider like I'm putting the wrong password, something called test. I'm just clicking. So by default, it's 5 attempts. So what will happen if I exit my 5 attempt? So it's my 3rd attempt. So it's my 4th attempt. So now it's my 5th attempt. So it shows like my login has been failed because due to many failed attempts, because I have put my wrong password. So in this case, this demo user cannot do he cannot go with some other credentials to change and all. Only thing what he can do is like he needs to raise ticket and he needs to go to the administrator. So only the person who has the admin privilege will have the access to unlock this user. So here in this case, admin has logged in and he can see like this demo user has been turned into logged state. So in this case, he will do like log auditing. What will happen? Like what is the root cause for this particular user has been logged? If it feels like this particular user only tried all this wrong attempts, then if it is genuine or something, then this admin will unlock and give the reset everything for this demo user. So it's very easy. So in this case, since this user is locked, we can able to see this unlock user option. So in this case, this user has been expired. So in this case, in the action drop down, we can see something called the renew user. So here for this active user, we don't have anything because this particular user is an active state. So we don't need to do any actions like unlocking or renewing. So it's very easy to unlock this user. So it's just in one click from the UI. So it will ask the admin, are you sure you want to unlock this user? If it's genuine or something, he can move forward and he can unlock the user. So it's very within a second, this particular user has been locked. Then it has been communicated to that demo user. So in this case, when the demo user is trying to log in with the last the change at 123 password. So let me put that change at 123 password. So consider I am doing some wrong attempt for 2 times just for showing the login history. So this is my 2nd attempt. So in the 3rd attempt, I'm just giving the correct password. So in this case, here I can see my failed login attempts was 2. So, and this user has been unlocked and now he or she can able to do all the whatever things this user wants to do. So this is how the unlock works. So here, let me show how the last 3 passwords cannot be used. So in this case, let me put the first password what I used, which is test at 123. So let me put the first used password, which is test at 123. Now, if I try to update my password, so it will show my password has been used before. So I have to use the password which is not used before. So let me try with some other new password which is not used before. So let me put something like new at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, we'll see what will happen. So it will show my password has been changed successfully. So this is how lock and unlock will work. And we have seen the login history, so everything. So let me perform something called expiry and renewal. So we have already have, so okay, let me try to make this demo user itself into an expired state. So today is March 8th. So let me mimic something like this user has been logged, has been expired 3 days before, which I can make something like 5. So here for all time related thing, we'll deal with epoch timing. So let me copy this epoch timing. So this epoch time represents the 5th March. So let me update here. So I'm already having this comment. So which is account expiry time. So let me update the time and also this demo user ID. So this is the command to list my user inside the MongoDB. So let me copy this ID. So here, let me change my ID. Let me copy this and let me perform this update action inside my DB. Okay, one entry has been matched and it has been modified. So we'll see what will happen for this user. So this user has already been expired, right? So let me log in with the admin credentials and let me see like what happened to this user. So this user has been expired. So how can I renew this user? It's very simple. So previously, since since the user has been logged, I can see the unlock option. So here, this particular demo user has turned into expired state. So in this case, this particular demo user needs to contact the administrator. Then if the administrator do some background checks and if it's genuine or something, he will renew the user. So by default, it will reset around additional 90 days for this demo user. So now this user can easily log in. So because he has turned into active state, so let me try to log in this demo user. So let me put my updated password as new at 12345. So this is how the expiry and renewal part will work. Any questions, team, so far? So do you want me to do any actions or want to mimic anything? Okay, let me try with the password expiry thing. So in this case, let me change my demo user's password gonna expire like after some 3 days. I will see like how it will show. So now it's 8. So let me put that March 11th. So it will show how much days it needs to be expired. So let me change my password expire time as March 11th. So let me copy this and let me copy my same ID, which I am planning to perform for my same demo user itself. So let me just copy this ID and let me try to execute this command inside my database. So we'll see like, yeah, it got matched and it has been modified. So just to see my login history, let me re-log in for this demo user. So my new password is new at 12345. So here it will show like my password gonna expire within 2 days. So this is how it will notify the user like you have to change the password. So in this case, the user will easily go here and change password. Or else what will happen if it cross this March 11, then how we perform for the enforce login for the new user, right? For the first time, if the user is going to log in, so same thing will happen, and this is how it will prompt the user to change the password regularly. Yeah, any questions, team? These are all the things I just want to share in the security implementation perspective for user management module.
So I've got a quick little question over on this. If I were thinking about engineering a security attack against the system, one piece of important information is whether or not I'm targeting a valid user. So what happens in this case if I put in a username that's not valid and I have filed 5 failed login attempts? Is OSM going to just simply tell me invalid username and password after the 5th attempt and give me secret information about the actual users that are registered? Now, I understand that's a very subtle, line, but I'm just out of curiosity.
Okay, so generally in the design perspective, it will match with the username and with the ID. So if the username, so in your case, the user is not available, like it's not in the user section, right? Then it will throw
Correct.
something like this user is not there.
Okay, so okay, so we actually differentiate between valid users and invalid users. The user will know if they're attempting to use a valid user or if they misspelled their username, is what we're saying.
Okay, yeah, I can understand, but
Okay.
for now, I can tell like because this thing we have tried. So if the user is not in the users list, it will show like the user is incorrect, whatever we have mentioned. So
Okay.
so far, I have not seen something like valid or invalid. Maybe in the enhancement, like I'll take this point and let me work on that, Mark. Like how we can put something like this particular user is invalid, like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm sorry, I might be getting a little detailed here, but is the IP address of the failed login attempt recorded? I didn't catch that when you were showing the user management.
I didn't get you. Can you please repeat, Mark? Like
yeah, absolutely. So I'm a system admin, and my demo user person has reported to me twice now, hey, I'm not entering an invalid password, but my account keeps getting locked. Can we find out what IP address it's coming from so we can trace down the sort and see who's being rude to our user and locking them out on purpose? I'm inventing a scenario here.
Oh, okay. Generally, in the tokens API, right, we can see like who is hitting our application. So generally, from where this request is coming. So
Yes.
maybe in the like if the administrator go one level deep to the database and can see
Perfect.
so which token has been like which IP has been trying to do this thing. See these so here these things and all come under the audit logging, so where we can go a little deep into the logging section and we can see where this request has been okay, yeah, we can do that.
Awesome.
And we can able to find.
Perfect. That's a nice bit of added security to have there. Thank you very much for this.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you for your question. Yeah, thank you, team. That's all I wanted to share with you all regarding the security implementation. Yeah, thank you, team. So
Thank you.
let me stop sharing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Selvi, for presenting. Do we have any other questions? Okay, thank you, Selvi, for your presentation.